Good evening, everyone. Myself Karthikeyan, Assistant Professor, Department of CSC, Government College of Engineering, Singipati, Tanjavur. Today, I am going to discuss the concept of object-oriented programming concepts in Java. So we know that there are different properties of object-oriented. Whenever if you're saying that, these are the some of the properties of, or these are the some of the elements of OPS concept. One is a class, second one is an object, third one encapsulation, fourth one data abstraction, fifth one inheritance, sixth one is a polymorphism, seventh one is a message passing, eighth one is called as a dynamic binding. So we know that the class is called as a collection of similar objects. Also we call as it provides the template for all the objects. So it provides the templates. It consists of data and as well as methods for an operation. So that is called as a class. And second one is for the object. It is called instance of a class. So we call runtime entity also. It means that we are going to use the template of the class. Use the template of the class is called as objects. It means that the data member holding the real value of it. And the next important property is called the encapsulation. That is called grouping of class properties. That is called class properties into a single unit is called as encapsulation. Wrapping means it is called joinings. And there's the data abstraction. Data abstraction is called hiding. That is called data hiding. So data hiding will be achieved with the help of access modifiers in Java. In Java, there are different access modifiers we have. One is a private. So there are access modifiers are private, public, protected, and default. So the details of this access modifier will discuss a later part. And inheritance is the process of accessing the property of one classes into another classes. It provides the important property that is called reusability. And this polymorphism is the ability of more than one form. So it will achieve, there are two ways. One is overloading and as well as overriding. Next one is called message passing. Message passing means sending arguments. How the methods will be communicated with each other in the functions. Dynamic binding, identify which is the method will be invoked by the particular objects. Identify the methods at the time of invocation. Invocation at the time of running in runtime. So that is called as dynamic binding. So just we saw the overview of that is our OOPS concept. So we know that that means that whenever the language is called as a object-oriented element, that is called object-oriented programming language, it must satisfy the 7th property. It means that 8th property, maybe the 3rd property and 4th property is combined together. So that we are saying the 7th element is very, very important. One is the class, object, encapsulation, and data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, message passing, and dynamic binding. So now we are going to discuss one simple example. So to define how the concept of OOPS concepts will be supported by Java. So the first one, I am going to define a packages according to the general structures. Already we are aware about that. Okay, so now I am going to, first of all, you are going to create a general structure. For example, class. I am going to create a class for rectangle. So here rectangle is a class. So it provides a common template for rectangle property. So rectangle is a class. So for implementation of rectangle, first of all, we must to understand what are the instant members we need to define, or otherwise we call as a data members. So here I need two information for representing the values. One is a length, another one is called breadth. So I'm going to say the length and the breadth of my rectangle is fractional number, so that I'm going with flow data type. So then I'm going to calculate the area of the two properties will be have the during a calculation. I need two amount of memory. So one is area, another one is a perimeter. So these are the four parameters we need, the four memory needed for storing the values for the class property. So next, I am going to define the data member methods. That is called methods, or we call as member function. Generally, we call as a member function but in C language we call as a function or we call as a methods. Here I needed two methods to calculate area and function. So I'm interested to calculate the area and functions. So area is a function name. So I can change it. Area calculation. I needed two values, length. Another one is breadth. But it will be assigned by the class. So I'm going to implement. So first of all, area. I'm going to calculate area equal to length into breadth. This is why I'm going to calculate the area. So I'm interested to print the value of area at the time of printing itself. So just I printed the value of area. Next, the same way, I am interested to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. So perimeter calculation. So we know that the formula for calculation is perimeter equal to 2 into length plus breadth. So system dot out dot. I'm going to print the value of a perimeter. So it's perimeter equal to of rectangle equal to okay. So next, so now the class definition is over, but still now the initialization will not take place. So that for initialization, I'm looking to go for the concept of constructors. We know that the constructor means that the class name and function name must be same, and it does not have any parameter, means any return type. So length and I will pass as an argument to object function creations. So I'm going to copy from the local variable into instance variable. So now the initialization also take place. So now I'm going to create a one functions. So inside of that, I'm going to use public void main. So public static also we need. So here I need to create an object for accessing the properties. So rectangle R1 equal to new. Also, I'm interested to create another one more object that is called R2 equal to new. So I'm willing to call the method R1 dot area calculation. Also, I'm interested to calculate the perimeter for second rectangle. So R2 dot perimeter underscore CALC. Okay, so now let us to discuss what it is. So the first thing is the class rectangle. So I told that the first important property is class rectangle. So that this is called the class definitions. So this is for class definition. So here this is a class name. So I told that the class name provides a common template for to provide a common template for all the objects. Even whatever the property that belongs to this category, it must have a length, breadth, and area and perimeter property, and it have a two calculation. One is a calculation of area and calculation of a perimeter. So here it will be called as a data member. There is data members, and these are all called as members, member functions for doing some calculations. Clear? So class, it's a collection of data members, and proper means then member function is called as a property of the class. So this is called as class. And next one is an object. Object is a real-time entity, so that it holds the real value. So for object, this is called object creation. So object creation. So while object creation allows that to create a memory, so allocate a memory for us. So automatically the memory will be created for this object creation. So once the memory is created, then the value of this 3 and 4 will be invoked. This is called object creation, and the memory will be allocated. So I told that the object is a runtime entity, so that it holds only the real value. So the length and the breadth. So here there are two fields we have for a rectangle to know the fields. So that this length and 3 and 4 are the real values for this rectangle R1. So that always object holds the real value, but the class holds the property. But the object holds the real value. Clear? Okay. So then the next thing is the second. This is called object creation. So whenever the object is created, the memory will be allocated for objects. For a class, there is no memory will be allocated. So that we call as a runtime entity. Runtime entity means the memory will be allocated at the time of running. And the third one, it is a background detail that is called data abstraction. It is a hiding of unwanted details. So that here all the methods, even the data members and methods are belongs to the access by this way as default. So that we can able to access only all those properties only inside of the class. Inside of this program, these properties will not be accessed to the outside. So that we call it will not be accessed to the outside property. So that we call this. This is the way we are achieving the concept of data abstraction. If you want, we can define like this. Even I'm going to make it as a private member for this length and breadth. So that it means that we are unable to access the properties. That is instance member, length, breadth, and area and perimeter outside of this class. So this is the way we are going to achieve some data security. That is called data hiding, the hiding of the relevant information from a implementation part. Even if we are allowing the user to communicate with your application, we are trying to hide all the programming parts from the user. And fourth, and also it is an encapsulation. Encapsulation means a wrapping up of the data members and as well as a member function into a single unit is called as encapsulation. See that the class definition consists of data member and member functions. So these data members or member functions are grouped with the help of within a single block. So that this is called as encapsulation. So I think you understand the concepts. So that is, I will repeat once again. So it is consist of this data member and member functions. So this is called as encapsulation. Encapsulation means LATION. So that is called joining or maybe a wrapping. So data members and plus member functions into a single unit. So single unit means we are grouping all the elements within this curly braces is called as encapsulation. So now the third property is over, and the fourth property is. And so now the encapsulation is over, and data abstraction encapsulation is over. And the next one is inheritance. So here I didn't use the concept inheritance. For example, if I'm going to use this property of length and breadth, we can use another one more class that is called class. For example, I'm going with the cube. Cube extends from rectangle. So if I'm created the class like this, I'm going to use the concept of this rectangle class. The property of the rectangle class will be used for a cube. So this way we are going to implement the concept of inheritance in Java. In future, we will go and discuss about the inheritance later part. Next one is called as a polymorphism, the ability to take more than one form. Okay, for example, here easy understanding, I'm going to create a one empty constructor that is called default constructor. So which assigns the value of length equal to 5 and breadth equal to 10. So for example, I'm going to give the length equal to 5 and breadth equal to 10. So here this is a rectangle. The constructor method will have here. There are two constructors. So for a deep here there are the same constructor, but it is a different form. So that this is called overloading, because the same function name but differentiated on the different number of arguments. So that this is called as operator from overloading. So this is a constructor. So that we call as a constructor overloading, because everything will be designed within a single class. If it is a overriding, the same number of arguments, same number of same functioning, same number of arguments, but defined in a base class and derived class. That is called inheritance concept. Then it is coming under the category of overriding. We'll discuss the concept of overriding in the later part. So then now the topic, polymorphism is over, and the next two properties called message passing. Message passing a necessary information for our calculation. So we are passing a length and breadth for maintenance of the properties. So this is called as a message passing. And without a message passing, the communication will not take place. So maybe either message passing will be passed through as an argument, or maybe through object we are going to we are processing information. We are performing some operations on an object. Next one is a dynamic binding. So here I told that here r1.area.calc method, there are two methods we have, so that at the time of running only we need to identify which is the method will be invoked, so that means that it is called dynamic binding will be takes place at the time of running. So this is the way Java will support properties. Just I'm going to compile the program. So check for any errors. If there is no error, automatically the class will be created with the name is called as rectangle.class. So now there is no errors. Now I'm going to create I'm going to run my program. So area of rectangle is 12 and it's a perimeter 80 because I'm using R1 for area calculation. So 3 into 4, 12. For perimeter calculation for the second object. So it will be 25 plus 15, 40, 40 into 2, 80. Yeah, so that so at the time of running only we need to understand that only this method will be invoked at the time. It will be understand only at the time of runtime. So from that we understood that Java supports all the elements of OOPS with all the elements of OOPS. So in that, out of these 7 elements, the encapsulation, inheritance, and the polymorphisms are the very, very necessity element. It is a different properties of your OOPS concept. So that we call as encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism are the important elements of OOPS. And the remaining are the basic things for your any object, any languages. So that we are not given an important part, but we are always saying encapsulation, inheritance, and the polymorphisms are important elements of OOPS. So I think, okay, so that's all about the concept of OOPS, OOPS which is supported by a Java programming. Thank you.